Ghosts. How many times you've probably been asked, do you believe in ghosts? Ghostbusters was one of those big movies a number of years ago, supposedly a group of team that rids your house or mansion of ghosts. Ghosts punctuate our literature, from very popular literature to classical literature. How many people don't realize that Marley is that strange ghost that visits Ebenezer Scrooge and takes off the beautiful story of the Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, or Hamlet, who has a vision or sees an apparition of the ghost of his father. Ghosts. So we shouldn't be surprised that we have a gospel that tries to deal with the issue of ghosts and Jesus' resurrection. Because no doubt the early disciples of Jesus, like some of us, many of us, who knows, the interesting question, have ever considered or believe in ghosts or think they've seen ghosts or experienced ghosts. So when they meet the risen Christ, they immediately use a category in their minds that seems to explain how someone who could be dead is now in front of them. And of course, the gospel really aggressively tries to answer that question because Jesus is not a ghost. I mean, a ghost technically in some ways we might define as an apparition of the spirit of someone like Marley, who has to make up for some bad things or will prowl about the world until he enters into some kind of other existence. But Jesus did not enter into some kind of ambiguous situation of earthly life, roaming and appearing to his friends or his disciples. As the gospel put it so beautifully, and I think it's important for us to see, the question is posed immediately, but they were startled and terrified, and they thought they were seeing a ghost. Then he said to them, "Why are you troubled? And why do questions arise in your hearts? Look at my hands and my feet, that is I myself. Touch me and see, because a ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you can see I have." There's a reality to the bodily existence of Jesus that can't be, you might say, in the framework of a ghost. A ghost may appear to have a body, but it's not really real. You know, you can walk through walls, so you can try to touch it and it can't be there. But this bodily existence of Jesus is something that is supposed to be, and not supposed to be, is so real that the disciples have to grasp that Jesus' resurrection is not some kind of ghostly existence, but he has actually come to a new plane of bodily and spiritual existence that they need to slowly and understand. And it's very interesting how this gospel puts that presence and apparition of Jesus in the context of what we as Catholics would call sacramental presence. Because remember how that gospel began. It says the two disciples recounted what had taken place on the way and how Jesus had made known to them in the breaking of the bread. How Jesus was made known to them in the breaking of the bread. That very startling story of Emmaus, of the two disciples walking along, upset about what happened in Jerusalem, being accompanied by a third person they didn't recognize immediately. They talk and they're bringing up all these issues. It's Jesus of Nazareth, and he's talking back to them, and they finally go into a place to have a bite to eat, and he breaks the bread, and then they realize, this is our Jesus. This is our Jesus. He's with us. In the breaking of the bread, which was the ancient ceremony, and a ceremony still carried out in Jewish meals of breaking bread and thanking God for it and eating a bit of it. But in the Christian community, it became a means of sacramental presence of Jesus himself amidst his disciples in the breaking of the bread. No, we don't believe in ghosts. If you want to believe in ghosts, fine, but Jesus is no ghost. He is risen. He is truly with us. The same Jesus that died on the cross. He has an existence that even includes his body in some marvelous way. It hasn't been has not been spiritualized to such an extent that it's not ours. There's something about the bodily existence that God has created that in the resurrection of Jesus has not only been restored, but revivified, elevated, and in a special way invites us to share in his eternal life. God bless you.